I'm teaching a class this semester called Advertising, Consumption, and Culture, and it's all about the ways that our culture is determined based on what is going on in consumer marketplaces. One of the ideas that we talk about is infantilization, and over the course of the semester, I'm going to talk about different terms that we use that may help you to understand the time that we're living in. Infantilization is this idea of the dumbing down of goods and services to consumers and ultimately dumbing down consumers, while at the same time making children buy into things earlier than they might. And of course, with everything going on with the Epstein files, I couldn't help but think about how these two things are interconnected. In the economically divided economy that we currently live in, what marketers need to do is they're not worrying about us, right? We're living this K economy where all the money is happening up at the top. And so what they need to do is make sure that the people on the top want to buy a lot of stuff. So think about it. What are they buying? They're buying fancy parties. They're buying yachts. They're buying spaceships. And while they're buying their big toys, we're being fed childish kinds of content. If you look at the top 25 movies from last year, they're all based on superheroes. Lilo and Stitch was number 2, right? So childish things. There's a story today in the New York Post about how the movies that are coming out in 2026 are going to be the ones that are going to sell toys. Specifically, Toy Story 5 or 6 or something is coming out now. And of course, one of the trends more recently was Labubus. Or take a look at your phone. How many games do you have on there? Infantilization is why we need to have this word adulting, because people never grew up. So suddenly you have this generation that has to talk about adulting. Infantilization occurs because there are tons of products that exist in the marketplace that have no real need, right? And so these marketers need to create the need. And where does that need come from? This childish, I want, mommy, 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 right? So these aren't real needs. They are what Marx would have called imaginary needs. So let's go back to what this has to do with Epstein. It means that men can continue to act like boys, and they can do the kinds of things that are done that we are seeing. For women, where we see it broadly is in the diet culture where we are expected to have a body that looks like an adolescent. And the reason why we think we need to look that way is because even though there are many, many, many more women in the advertising business, there aren't many, 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 many women at the top of the advertising business. It used to be 3%. It's now 13%. Women make up buying power for 80% of consumer goods. We should be having more of a space at the table. And I would argue because we don't, we get this nonsense of infantilization.